Hey, Mandy here. Today I'm going to be walking through setting up OBS for streaming for the first time. Obviously, each person has their setup differently, and it's going to depend on what your goals and needs are. I do highly recommend OBS Studio over Streamlabs. Personally, I've used both options. Streamlabs personally bogged down my computer and it caused me a lot of dropped frame rates, so I switched over to OBS Studio and I saw a remarkable improvement right away. You can also use the Stream Elements plugin with OBS Studio if you want to integrate more of your Stream Elements tools into your workspace. I use a lot of Stream Elements for my stuff, like the overlays, the alerts, all that fun stuff. But it's totally up to you. You can set it up through a bunch of different bots. There's a billion and one bots that are around. We're just going to start with basics for setting up OBS though, so let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is install OBS Studio. You'll go to obsproject.com. From there, you can choose your operating system. They have Windows, Mac, Linux. They cover the three main operating systems. You'll just click whichever it is to download it, and then you'll double click it once it's done downloading to install it to wherever you want it to be at. Next, once you've opened up OBS Studio on your computer, I do highly recommend going through the auto config wizard. It may pop up the first time you open OBS. If it doesn't, just go to tools, click auto config wizard. It'll pop up and give you a few options for optimization, such as streaming, recording, or for virtual camera. Since I'm focusing on the streaming aspect of OBS, we're gonna do the optimize for streaming. From there, it will have you set up your video settings. I recommend having your base resolution set as your current screen size. With FPS, it provides you with several options as well. Depending on your needs, you may need to select various options later on. Just kind of depends. If you're starting out, I recommend going with the either 60 or 30, but prefer high resolution, as you don't get the highest encoding options on Twitch until you're a partner. You'll occasionally get as affiliate depending on the number of partners streaming at the time. For this video, I just went with 30 since it's an example. For your stream information, it will have you connect to your Twitch account. Mine's already connected, so it doesn't show the connect account button, but you will want to click that in order to get your account connected to it so that you can stream to your Twitch account. I have it set to do a bandwidth test so that I can determine the best settings for everything as a default. Once you get more comfortable with OBS, you can always go in and adjust it as necessary for your needs. This is just the starting point. It's a great starting point. If you do opt to do the bandwidth test, it will take a few moments to test all the various bandwidth options available, and then it will select the best one for your situation before giving you the final results to confirm. Make sure you apply your settings to save all your configurations. I didn't because I already have all of my stuff configured. Your scenes are what you're showing to your viewers when you're live. You can use the plus sign to add a scene, the negative sign to remove a scene, and the arrows can organize them in any specific order that you want. You can simply right-click them to rename them to whatever you want. All of the black space is your canvas to work with per scene. The most common scenes for streaming are starting soon, I'll be right back, ending, and a gameplay. A lot of streamers also have a scene solely to show only their camera on the full scene as well. They'll have their chat box kind of chilling over here. They'll have their alerts up top, all that fun stuff. Sources are the different elements on your scenes. They are where all of the magic happens. The same way that you would add, remove, and rearrange scenes are how you would do that with your sources. There are a lot of different options that you can use to add to your scene. The most common are audio input for your microphone, audio output for any sounds, music, etc. that you're going to add on there, game capture for your game. You can also use that for a capture card as well. You can use video capture for your webcams or your cameras if you are using a cam link to attach an actual DSLR to it. You can also create groups of specific sources for items to kind of help clean up your source panel so that it's not just a mile long depending on how many sources you have per scene. The browser captures are what you would use if you're using Stream Elements to add any alerts and notifications and all that stuff, since it's done through a browser. One of the first things that a lot of people do for their streams is they will set up the sources for their mics, their system sounds, and their cameras if they're using a camera To do that, you just click the plus sign and then you click on audio input for your microphone. You can rename it to whatever you want. I usually choose mic. You can then choose the device that you want to use. I use my Yeti mic separately from Voicemeeter, so I usually will select that as my device for it, and then I hit OK. Since I did record all of my OBS recordings separately, I went ahead and just muted my microphone and the audio mixer. That way I wouldn't have any weird overlaps or anything. Next, we will be doing an audio output capture to capture all of the system sounds for it. You can rename it to whatever you want. Most of the time I rename it to whatever it is. That way I can tell what it is later on that I'm doing. You can generally get away with just leaving it as the default setting. Since I have Voicemeeter, sometimes I'll have it set up to go through Voicemeeter. For this example, I just went with the default setting because that's what majority of people are going to be doing if they don't have Voicemeeter set up. Your audio mixer is where all of your audio will show so that you can make sure that everything is functioning and working properly, separately, and all together. You have the ability to mute and unmute from here as well as necessary. And of course, you can adjust the volume midstream if you need to, if your viewers are saying that you're too loud or too quiet. You can enhance your audio sources using filters at any time. The most common filters that are used are the gain, noise gate, noise suppression. Each of these you can adjust individually and adjust on the fly. I personally recommend reviewing your stream after every stream that you do. That way you can adjust it and kind of note down what you've adjusted. That way you can change it specifically and you can know how it impacts your stream. Kind of process of elimination. That way you don't have to worry about changing too many things and not knowing what exactly impacted what, and it ended up sounding worse than it did before. With the controls panel in OBS, you have several options. The biggest one obviously is going to be the start streaming button. It's what you will hit in order to actually go live on Twitch. While you're streaming, it will change over to say stop streaming. Make sure that you hit stop streaming when you're done streaming. It's super important. You also have the start recording and start virtual camera. They do the very similar functions as start streaming, but for their respective items. Studio mode allows you to see what your viewers see while also allowing you to adjust things on the fly on your scenes without actually having them see what you're moving around. Shortcut keys are super handy, especially if you haven't invested in a Stream Deck yet. I have one. They can be found under settings and then hotkeys. You can use specific keys or key combinations to easily do multiple things like mute, unmute, start or stop your stream or recording. You can also use it to change your scenes quickly. They do have a push to talk option and a push to mute option as well. So those can be kind of handy if you have animals that like to bark often and randomly throughout your stream. That way you can only have your voice going through if you're actually saying something, a lot like in Discord, for example. So now that you have the mic and sound set up in OBS, we can go in and add in a game and a camera if you so choose to. To add a game, you go in under sources, click the little plus sign, and then you can go to game capture. I like to name it whatever game I happen to be playing, and I personally like to have game specific sources for it. So I make sure that I go in and click capture specific window. You can select whatever game that you wish to capture under the window specifically. You will have to have the game open in order for it to be able to capture it. It's only a slight hindrance, not a huge ordeal though. Once you have selected your game and the setting that you choose to do, just make sure you hit OK. At that top right above the sources where you have it, you can change the mode and the window. So if you want to just get it set up and then you want to change it whenever you actually open the game next, you can do that. You can just click the window that it is. To add a camera in, you can do so the same way. You'll just click video capture device instead of game capture. Make sure you select your device that you want to use. I pre-recorded this segment as well, so obviously it won't fully match what is going on voice wise. I set my camera to go through NVIDIA Broadcast since I do have an NVIDIA graphics card so that I can get the nice creamy background going on with it. But you just set it up the exact same way that you did with your game capture. So you can easily resize any of your sources within the black canvas that you have going on. If it has the red border around it, that means that you are currently have it selected and you're able to resize it. If you use the corners, then it will ensure that it always stays the same ratio and it doesn't get distorted. Right clicking it, you can go and see all the different other types of options that it has. You can rotate it 90 degrees, 180, you can flip it horizontal or vertical. For your camera, I do recommend flipping it so that your eyes are pointed in the direction that your game is. That way it draws the viewer's attention back to the game that you're actually playing. It's very important as a viewer. That way you can make sure that they're focusing on the game. If you're pointed towards like your Twitch people that you're following, their eyes are going to be drawn there too. Viewers follow where your eyes go. Within OBS, you can also crop your sources to whatever size you need. Say you don't want it to be a rectangular video for your camera. You can crop it to a square, even shorter rectangle, whatever size you want it to be. You just make sure that you hit Alt while you're dragging it so that it will actually crop it down to the size that you want it to be. So say that you have your camera exactly where you want it to be. You don't want to accidentally move it around or anything like that. You can actually click the little lock button on your source and it will prevent you from moving it ever again until you go in and you actually click the unlock button. Essentially, if it has the red border around the black canvas, that means it can be moved. If there's no border at all, it is stuck where it's at until you unlock it. So you can actually also set up groups within your sources to kind of help tidy it up a little bit. What you'll do is just click whatever you want it to be. If they're all together, just make sure you hold shift. If they're kind of separated by other things, hit control while you're clicking, and then you can just right click, go up to group selected sources, and then it'll just create a little folder. If you hide that whole folder, if something's already hidden, but whenever you hide it, that item will stay hidden. If everything is already to where you can see it, then they'll all come back. And then you can just collapse it down and it'll make your sources a lot more tidy. Within OBS, you can actually set up transitions for your scenes so that when you're going from one scene to the other, it will actually go in smoothly versus just kind of hopping back and forth like it just did. All you'll do is you go in under scene transitions, defaults automatically to cut generally. You can swap it over to fade if there's a duration, so you can set how long it is. It is in milliseconds, so 1000 milliseconds would be a full second. So then once you've set the duration to how you want it to be, you can swap between the two scenes and then it will actually kind of fade in. You can purchase all kinds of different transitions if you want to. You can go with the base ones, but you can kind of see the time that it takes in between once you adjust the milliseconds around on how fast it actually fades into the next scene. It just kind of makes it a more smooth and seamless transition versus just kind of hopping back and forth all choppy like. Much like you can do scene transitions, you can also do source transitions so that you can set each item within the scene to actually do specific items. So for example, I have the image that I have chosen to actually fade into a black, fade from black. That way, whenever I actually reveal that source, it just kind of fades in. Nice and pretty, it's seamless. So if you're having multiple different items going on or you're switching between different games, you can kind of transition it besides it just going choppily back and forth between the different games or between the different sources that you have going on. Another fun tip is utilizing chroma key whenever you're doing either media sources or on your camera. For this example, I'm doing a media source that I use for my stream for my starting soon. I have the whole background that is green in the video and it kind of rotates between all of my different socials. I always make sure that when I do any type of video sources that I make sure that I set it to loop so that it'll continually loop. But what you'll do is you'll click the source that you're doing, you'll go to filters, click the little plus sign, make sure you go to chroma key. You can do chroma keys with any type of color. Most commonly it is green. green screen for that effect. But then once you actually submit the chroma key, it will take all the green background off, and then you can actually see what the actual background is for whatever you have going on. So within OBS, you can actually customize the user interface however you want to do it. All you have to do is just drag each part around wherever you want it to. Generally, everything comes separately at first. I personally like to have my scenes and my scenes transitions on the same area where I can just tab in between them, because I don't use my scene transitions as often once I've set them up to do what I want them to do. So I have those combined. You can create almost tabs essentially, and you can also just add random little docs here and there. You can add custom browser docs to where if you're kind of hosting on another person's stream and you want to make sure that you can still see their chat without having to have chats completely separate on a completely different screen, you can bring in that URL from it once you've popped it out. Super handy. Another fun feature that you can do is you can set up different profiles and scene collections for different profiles that you're going on. I have access to a couple different profiles that I'm able to stream to on Twitch. You can also set one up for specifically for YouTube, or you can set up specifically for Twitch, but then you can also set up separate scene collections for each of those. I have a couple for the other Twitch that I'm able to stream onto, as well as two specific for my Twitch, one specifically for YouTube videos for recording for those, and then another for actual my Twitch scenes itself. So that is all that I have available to you right now for teaching OBS. It's pretty basic, super simple, all the fun jazz. If you need any explanations for anything a little better, or if you have any ideas for what I could expand on even more for another video, just leave a comment down below. Otherwise, you guys have a great day. Thanks for coming.